Welcome back to yet another edition of Newspapers in Language Learning. Today is Thursday, the 18th of March 2021. Today we shall have a look at today's morning's newspaper to appreciate, to enjoy, and to engage better with the headlines. So today we are going to have a look at the headlines of today's morning newspaper. Well, the first thing we usually do when we browse through the morning newspaper is to browse through the headlines, don't we? So, in this video, we shall get to know more about headlines and how to engage with them better as part of a daily newspaper reading habit. So, let's go. Well, newspaper headlines are broadly divided into just two types. They're called the curiosity headlines and the traditional news headlines. I repeat, the curiosity headlines and the traditional summarized news headlines. So what are the curiosity news headlines? Well, the curiosity headlines don't provide you with information right at the beginning. You see, they are written in such a way so as to arouse your curiosity quotient and generate your interest in the article. For example, digital news broadcasters normally use curiosity headlines as a clickbait by misleading them into clicking on their link. Are the traditional news headlines? These headlines do not indulge in misleading you by sensationalism, ambiguity, or exaggeration. They are quite dignified, you see, and they provide the reader with quality information. The traditional news headlines are in sharp contrast to the curiosity news headlines because they do not indulge in misleading you by sensationalism, ambiguity, or even exaggeration. They are quite dignified, you see, and they provide the reader with quality information. As such, they avoid all kinds of sensationalism. This is a very interesting and a very important part of a news headline. We call it ellipsis in news headlines. Headlines are known for that one unique feature called ellipsis. So, what is an ellipsis? Ellipsis simply means the omission of one or more words in a sentence that are obviously understood. I repeat, it is the omission of one or more words in a sentence that are obviously understood. We find ellipses in these sentences. A house is blue and a car red. When a boy, I played chess quite a lot. We ask people, why sad? Why crying? That means, why are you sad? Some more coffee? That means, would you like to have some more coffee? Finished reading? Which means, have you finished reading? So these are examples of ellipses in sentences. So why do we use ellipses? Mainly to save on space and to get straight to the point without any delay or distraction of any sort. I repeat, mainly to save on space and to get straight to the point without any delay or distraction of any sort. Now let's do an interesting and engaging study of headlines from today's newspapers. Today is the 18th of March 2021. Cases spreading. Decisive steps must to prevent second wave, Prime Minister. We find two punctuation marks in this news headline. The first one is the comma, which is substituted for a conjunction. Instead of using so, you use the comma. The next punctuation mark we find here is the colon, which has been used to save on space. Instead of saying says Prime Minister, it says Prime Minister. Usually you will find news headlines are in the word range of just 5 to 10 words, that's it, not more than that. And most of the headlines you'll find the to infinitive form of the word repeated regularly. Here also you find the to infinitive. Power Engineers Association urges DVAC to probe. I repeat, to probe Tangenco deal. This is again a very common occurrence in news headlines, the to infinitive form of the verb. You'll find them in most of the headlines. We'll see just a few samples today. Fresh cases near 1K. State moves to contain spread. I repeat, state moves to contains spread. We find that the comma has been used to substitute for a conjunction. In body text, most of the style guides clearly indicate that we need to spell out whole numbers from 0 through 9, isn't it? We have been taught like that. So, if I write the number 1, I should write it down as O-N-E and not the numeral 1. But in a newspaper headline, there is this exemption. That's again for saving up on space. You find it here: 6 Korean women among 8 shot dead by gunmen in the United States. So here again you find that the number has been written as a numeral alone and not spelled out. That's because they want to save up on the space. Discussed earlier that newspaper headlines are usually in the word range of 5 to 10 words. However, traditional news headlines sometimes exceed this limit when they feel that they have adequate space on them. That's why I wanted to present this news headline for you. Another interesting feature of a news headline is that it tries as much as possible to avoid punctuation marks. Here you don't find any punctuation marks. Unless otherwise, punctuation marks are madly needed. Can quotation marks be used in the news headline? Yes, they can. Wherever possible, single quotes should be used in the news headline and not double quotes. And usually, again, most headline words appear in lowercase letters, not in uppercase letters. Sports headlines are a real treat to the reader. They are the most creative news headlines that you will ever find in the day's newspaper. In fact, they are the real icing on the cake of any newspaper for that matter. They usually have that little fun with pun also, isn't it? And it needs a creative sports editor to write down these clever and creative news headlines for the sports page. This one is again from the sports page on today's Times of India. Can top order ace pace test? That's all for now from today's newspaper. Do continue to read the day's newspapers both in English and in your vernaculars as well. Until we meet on yet another interesting and engaging aspect of the day's newspaper tomorrow, it's me Rufus signing off for now. Have a good day.